Good morning and welcome everyone to the 2023 VALORANT Game Changers North America Series 1 presented by Verizon. The final day is finally upon us, and at the end of the day, we will be crowning our first Game Changers Series 1 champion of 2023. My name is Mix, and it is a pleasure to introduce the guests who are on the desk today, some experts in the space, some of your faces I think I've seen once or twice before, Mimi and Sapphire. Can I just say how cool it is? This is my first all-woman desk, Mimi.
Yeah, it's pretty cool indeed. And I mean, the game today is going to be so incredibly cool. This is now the kind of the dawn of like the third year of this whole Game Changers thing. And the first 2 years were defined by this Cloud9 versus Shopify rivalry. And now we kind of get the new generation of that starting things off in 2023. It's just so exciting, Heather.
Oh, yeah. This is like the mark of women's marginalized genders events in all of esports. And we're here for one of the biggest rivalries that has been going on for just over 2 years now. So, it was very interesting yesterday to get to this point. It's got a very exciting rematch, and I'm excited to see what both teams bring.
It is remarkable how consistent that storyline has been, and we'll definitely be getting to that in just a second. But let's take 10 steps back and see how we got here. Of course, we began with the Open Qualifier last week, and this week we got down to 8 teams. And throughout this week, we've seen some amazing games. But Mimi, once again, it has come down to that version 1 versus Shopify Rebellion Grand Finals. Though I have to say there are a few teams here who should definitely pat themselves on the shoulder for additional top 4 finishes.
Yeah, I don't think most people will be surprised to see V1 versus Shopify in the Grand Finals. If you looked at this going all the way back to the Open Qualifiers, I imagine that's what most people were predicting. But some of the newer teams were making great runs. XSET, freshly built, coming into this tournament with some new young players building up around 2 of the super experienced core of that former Cloud9 white squad. And they made a really strong run of things, getting knocked down in the very first round and making a lower bracket run all the way to the lower finals, and actually playing a pretty close game versus Shopify Rebellion as well.
And then it's really fun to see, how far Moist Moguls got in it. I think they started the event in the qualifier as CLG Red. Had a lot of turmoil throughout the event. It's really nice to see that core of Athena, Dodo, and Emily back in the top 4. It's been a while now, I think just about a year since they were in that top 4, and 2022 wasn't necessarily the best year. So they rebuilt with some new pieces, and now they're challenging for that top 4 spot.
Yeah, and I mean, what they went through to get there is insane. They lost their org. They had to try and make changes. They didn't know where they were going to be playing. Had to last second change things up, move their setup, change their peripherals. I mean, there was so much working against them, but that team still managed to make that run happen. Really impressive out of them. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this grand finals, and it is that match that we've already seen that I think pretty much everyone expected to happen today.
We definitely mentioned it at the top of the show. This is the matchup that has been consistent throughout all of Game Changers history. This Shopify Rebellion squad taking on the duo of Mel and Alexis back when they were on Cloud9 White. I think the big question on everyone's minds was, are we going to be seeing a different sort of a grand finals, especially once that Cloud9 White roster fell apart? But it's like history repeats itself, and we get to see this once again, Heather.
Yeah, I think this is now their 6-time champions, Mel and Alexis, best friends, just absolutely crushing it, continuing that legacy that C9 started. And they've had their fair share of matchups against Shopify too.
Yeah, they absolutely have. I mean, for Mel and Alexis versus Shopify, this is going to be the 14th rematch. And in history, you always favored the squad led by Mel. It was 11-2 record across all those games. But coming into this year, coming into Game Changers Series 1, we thought that expectation would flip because Shopify overcame their demons. They knocked Cloud9 out of Game Changers champions. They made it to the grand final and were a map away from beating G2 and proving themselves the best Game Changers team in the world. But that didn't happen. They went into an upper final against V1 and they got dominated. V1 utterly destroyed this team in that matchup. And that's such an interesting kind of mix-up of expectations, because when we expected this to be the year defined by Shopify, defined by them finally looking like the best team in North America, it's again a squad led by Mel and Alexis taking that cake, at being the squad expected to win it all and continue to kind of hold that crown atop their head.
Absolutely. Mel and Alexis are no strangers to the spotlight, but to your point, Mimi, with that disintegration of Cloud9, I do think there were some questions. Are we going to be seeing the similar sort of dominance with version 1? The answer wasn't immediately clear, but they proved it on the server. And now, headed into the grand finals once again, Heather, it feels like this is their opportunity to prove, yeah, maybe our roster has changed a little bit, but we're still at the very top.
Yeah, and they certainly set the tone for that leading into this match from yesterday. It was an absolutely dominant performance, as Mimi said. And then just across the board, looking at all of these players individually, they've all had some insane moments. Like Noya is leading in clutches across all of Game Changers, winning 43% of her KPI is in the top 3, her KD is in the top 3. Alexis, as expected on that classic breach, leading in assists. I mean, everyone across the board has their really superstar moments. And then, of course, there's the young gun in Fluorescent that's just dominating every stat line you could expect.
Indeed, I appreciate, Heather, how you were able to call out some of the amazing players that we've seen. The performance from version 1, it goes without being said, they have looked absolutely dominant. Mimi, break that one down for us.
Yeah, they've been incredible. And in their game versus Shopify, I mentioned the dominance, but it was utterly one-sided. And I wanted to look at some of the rounds that they looked so incredibly good at on the attacking side. In particular, their site executes and coordination on this fracture map were really, really well put together. They came in with a weirder composition, playing the get-go, trying to innovate themselves at the front of the meta, and it succeeded for them so incredibly well. When they were going for the side execs, the way that they were layering utility, setting Fluorescent up for success was utterly sublime. And even the rounds where Shopify adapted, it looked like they had the right read. V1 was just so good at trading each other out, at being coordinated, that they never had a chance. And you'd expect with V1 being a new team, maybe we'd have that narrative. Sure, the players are all fantastic. Mel is a great IGL. You get the voice of Effie's in there as a coach, but you wouldn't expect to see them quite in this form yet. But that has not been the case. The first big event for V1, and they have come out looking just as good as Cloud9, honestly, and matching those same scorelines. And we heard it just last night from Mel in the post-match interview. She thinks that this team even has a higher ceiling than the dominance they were able to achieve with that C9 squad.
Yeah, I actually got to see this team in person on LAN. It was a month ago or so, and that was one of their first bigger events leading up into Game Changers. And what was nice to see is they carried over that same confidence, that kind of same swagger walking into the event. Like, yeah, we are the top team to beat. Like, not even worrying about what opponent they are playing. So really nice to see that carry over from that leadership of Alexis and Mel.
Yeah, and the ideas that they're bringing out are really good. I love the compositions that they're playing, and thus far, no team has been able to test them, Shopify included in that one. And going into this grand finals today, the question is, have Shopify made enough improvements? They're the more experienced squad. They're the squad that's been together for so long. Have they found those answers? Will they be able to play a closer game against V1?
Indeed, they definitely have their work cut out for them, and I know we've spent quite a bit of time praising Mel and, of course, Alexis for those 6-time Game Changers trophies that they have stacked behind them, but we absolutely need to talk about Fluorescent Mimi because she has been having such an impact on the server.
I mean, what good things can you not say about Floor? Floor looked like she might have been like the best player in the Game Changer scene when she was with Misfits, but now she's in a squad where the support she receives is even better than on that team, and she looks incredible. I think if V1 can win today, Floor can prove once and for all that she is the best individual player that we have here in the North American Game Changer scene.
And if you look at these stats, like comparing with the rest of the event, like number one in almost every category. But what is most impressive to me, her ability to entry, to get into sites, despite playing like half the number of rounds of every other team in this tournament because they've been so dominant, she still has, like, quantity wise, second most first kills in the entire tournament. It's absolutely impressive, her ability to make space.
Yeah, I mean, she is such a good individual performer. And in that previous game that we saw against Shopify Rebellion, which you're going to see some of the clips from it here, she was dominating. I talked a little bit about Shopify struggling compared to V1 to trade out their teammates and such, but so much of that damage being done was Floor just displaying her fantastic mechanics, but also I think displaying a little bit more restraint, showing that she's grown as a player since on Misfits. She still has the rounds where she gets crazy, she overheats a little bit, she goes with the clip, but she's also showing a lot more patience, being more reserved, playing with the team. It's really been a progress for this player as an individual and also as a piece for this team.
Indeed. With now, after speaking about version 1, it is time, of course, to talk about Shopify Rebellion. Mimi, you hinted about it a bit earlier, but I believe headed into this year, they were the team that had the most expectations set upon them. Because of the long dominance that we saw from Cloud9 White, winning every single game changers from 2021 to 2022, all eyes were on Shopify Rebellion after they hit the grand finals versus Cloud9 White, four grand finals in a row. And this is a moment for redemption for them, Sapphire, as I'm sure they want a reversal of the upper bracket final result that we saw.
Yeah, they were able to do in the World Championship, and that's great. But, like, you know, still, there's argument, like, who is the #1 team in North America? And they have yet to be able to dethrone that core of Alexis and Mel. So this is really their opportunity to finally set that storyline, be the ones that are on top and not always having to chase V1.
Yeah, that they are. And for this team, they are yet to be able to take home a trophy at home. They've always been able to make it into grand finals, to get just that step away. But Cloud9 has been the squad who has always denied them. And even when it looked like they were going to be able to take that trophy in Game Changers Champions, they lost. The first ever reverse sweep in VCT went against them. This team always feels to be cursed at the final mile. And from now, at the start of 2023, like you're saying, Heather, this is their chance to change their perception. This is a chance to change their story after 2 years of being second fiddle.
Heather, I feel like what Shopify Rebellion can point to gain some confidence headed into today's grand finals is they have experience taking down some other members of that infamous Cloud9 White roster in their win over Exit.
Yeah, they were able to do it yesterday. Obviously, in 2022, Katsumi and Bob gave Shopify a lot of trouble. And then coming into that match, we weren't necessarily sure, hey, is Exec going to win this? But no, it was definitively Shopify's map, and every single player had those shining moments.
Yeah, and we talked about the coordination for V1. You still saw it in this matchup for Shopify. The pressure was on them in this first overtime map, but they came up with new ideas. Their IGL KP was able to adapt and win them in that map. And when it went to the second map as well, that dominance continued. This team really stepped things up once they were in the lower bracket. It is clear that they desperately want this vengeance after the frankly poor performance they had against V1 in that upper bracket final.
When we talked about Fluorescent earlier, I feel like it's fair to say, Heather, that the counterpart that has been absolutely shining in the server has been Flowerful from the side of Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, absolutely. And Flowerful, I feel like doesn't get the credit she deserves for how dominant she is. It's almost like she's like a map 2 or map 3 gamer, where when it matters the most, she's absolutely dominating. Her ACS has been off the charts. Like, I can't tell you, like, multi-frag rounds has been impressive. And I think she's like second or third in all of clutches. So when Flowerful is alive, like, you can be certain your team might be winning the round.
Yeah, Sonder might get the spotlight on this team, but it is Flowerful who's provided them consistent wins. And last year we talked a lot about her chamber and how good she was on that role, but now returning to the more traditional Sentinels, playing the Cypher, playing the Killjoy, even flexing over to the Omen or the controllers sometimes, she's still putting up the same numbers that she was before and providing this team the same value, but also even more value in way of the utility, which has been fantastic for her. This Shopify squad has really good consistency from their backline, and Flowerful is such a big part of that.
Indeed. However, if Shopify Rebellion are going to take the win here, it is going to be a team effort. Another player that has both shined really well in certain cases, but in other times fallen a bit flat has been Sonder, Heather.
Yeah, it's almost like for Sonder, I feel like version 1 is her kryptonite. So throughout the tournament, her Jet, her Raze, her Neon, very, very impressive. Like, we're talking about her in every match, near the top of the scoreboard, if not the top, confidently. ACS closing in on 300. But when she did face against V1, it was a struggle yesterday, and we need this player at the top of her game so they can even push this in even into 5 maps if we maybe go there today.
Yeah, she had a rough game, but so did the rest of the team. This was something that kind of fell apart completely for Shopify. But I think a part of that is because normally this squad is very reliant on her opening kills. You see 74 to 50 overall, very good at getting that opening for her squad. But in the game versus V1, she was still taking a lot of those opening fights. She was still taking a lot of those risks that this team sets her up to do, but she was struggling to be able to find that same value. And I think part of that comes in just making sure that the coordination is on point between her, KP, and whoever else is flexing over to that second initiator role when they are playing with her. Because when Sonder is at her peak, when she is playing well, she is the player who can make a difference. We saw at Game Changers Championship how damn good she was. And there was a lot of pressure on her then, being a young player at LAN, but there's a lot of pressure on here too as well, because she seems to have this curse when she plays against Mel and Alexis, be it C9 or V1, that she really can struggle in some of these games.
Absolutely. There's a lot to look forward to with the grand finals that will be starting in just a second. But let's go ahead and pull up the map picks and bans as those have come in. Now, maybe this will be interesting because V1, of course, have the ban advantage given they came through that upper bracket run, but they also have such a deep map pool.
Yeah, I mean, they've been so dominant thus far that we don't even really know what is V1's map pool, because they played everything except Lotus. They've looked good at everything. So they're going to ban Lotus and Split in this one and start things off on Ascent, which is the perma-ban for Shopify, Heather.
Yeah, you know, it's not one that we see them play often. Shopify does like to boast that they have a deep map pool as well. So I feel like, you know, obviously being in the lower bracket, they weren't able to get that out. It's one they used to dabble in a while ago. And then Pearl, obviously a very strong map, one that Shopify looks incredibly comfortable on. We saw that yesterday with Flowerful and that Killjoy holding down the site anchor, always getting 2-3Ks per round, it seems like.
Yeah, she was incredible on that one. I'm again really interested to see some of these repeat maps in the pool that we did see in that previous series as well. Icebox for V1 looked really, really good. For the composition that Shopify was running, I think they did play to the strengths of it, that being the double controller of always getting that spike down, but it was always coming to these retakes, and V1's retakes were incredible. Same with the Fracture, right? Those were some of the issues we were bringing up before, where Sonder was playing the Neon, the spacing was a little bit off at times, and it felt a little fragmented from this team. But those are maps that they can look back at and learn from. This is not an inexperienced team. This is a squad who is good at taking things back, at having that review and coming up with new ideas. But still, with that veto advantage, this pool I think is going to be quite difficult for Shopify to face up against.
Indeed. You know, we have Agent Select ready in just a moment, but Heather, I was just going to say very, very quickly, when it comes to that series we saw in that upper bracket final, Mimi, you're right. They didn't even get a chance to get momentum going in their favor. They didn't have a chance to show anything they had prepared. But we did see what their skill set is in that matchup against Exit. We know that they have maps that they absolutely shine on.
Yeah, they obviously have some strong suits. Like I was going to say, you know, KP did that interview after they won and just saying like, that's not who we are. That's not the team. You're not going to see that tomorrow. They feel like they're going to be more prepared. I think no matter what map is going to be thrown their way, they think it wasn't a map issue. It was them individually. And today they're going to be prepared.
Yeah, today I think a lot of it is about the mental for Shopify, about coming back. This is a team who is friends, who's been playing together in person pretty much every Game Changers and has been in this position before. I'm sure that there is so much just, I guess, like want within this team to finally take a trophy, to finally win one of these Game Changers, because they've always been so close, and they have another opportunity today.
Now, as we get ready to dive into Agent's legs, it would be one thing if they never have had that history of taking down the likes of Mel and Alexis, and of course the other wonderful players as well. But that is not the case, as you pointed out earlier, Heather. They do have that experience of taking them down at the Game Changers Championship. So the mental will be especially interesting in this rematch this time around.
Yeah, you know, they've done it before. I think what they really relied on at the Game Changers Championship is being on LAN together, their vibe, their energy, being able to hype each other up. So, you know, we're going to need to see that here.
Yeah, we really will. I'm looking at this composition, and V1 is returning to this Viper Sky variation. I love this comp. It's going to be really tough, I feel, for Sonder to find value if she's opting on the defensive side. Expect the orb to be going down front mid. V1 can put that up and down as they please. It gives you a lot of flexibility in your defaults. And on the defense as well, the Snake Bite can provide so much value for taking extremity control. V1 has already shown that they're well prepared on their compositions. I expect nothing less from this Viper comp.
Well, we are just about ready to head into the grand finals. Will we be seeing version 1 take this trophy and Mel and Alexis walk away with their 7th Game Changers title? Or will we see Shopify Rebellion reset history and finally win their first ever Game Changers series? Doug and Bala, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sue. Grand finals for Game Changers. It doesn't get any better than this. There's history dating back multiple years, but Bala, there's also history from yesterday that we've got to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's the one that I think people were trying to skirt around on the desk, how hard they got stomped yesterday, and for good reason, because if you put it that way and you look at that series, you think there's no chance, but the history is where you start to get that chance from. The history of Shopify as a roster, all 5 players staying together, and now in the grand finals, you've seen them challenge the likes of Alexis and Mel. You've seen them beat Noya, Sarah, Fluorescent multiple times throughout all the different Game Changers events that we've seen. So maybe yesterday was an anomaly. That's what people who are hoping for Shopify to take their first ever Game Changers title are definitely hoping for.
Given how it went yesterday, Loki, I'm kind of hoping it's an anomaly as well, right? You want this to be such a competitive series, but, well, we'll see. First pistol underway in this best of 5. And it's quiet out from version 1.
Very quiet. I do love the fact that they're picking up the loud comp here that we saw at Lock-In. For all those partnership teams, the Vipers definitely been picking up some play, even though Loud actually has dropped this comp. It definitely can catch opponents off guard because of how good you can control this middle area. That's what Mimi was talking about. You saw the flash through, Fluorescent clearing together. How can Mel handle this double push on B main just like that? Just a jump peek, it's too easy.
Yeah, they just back on up.
She did
No
use her
real
flash
knowledge
though.
of what's on the other side of that corner, so they have to give the space
down
away.
mid.
Meanwhile, version 1 take all of the space they can across the middle of the map.
Oh, Fluorescent's in. Wow. The freeze that happened right there. They get all the space, and now they pause. She just peeks through the smoke.
Oh, so well played. That flash should leave Flower for a world of hurt, but Sonder from backside is keeping things interesting. Dashing away, Mel weak, but still wins out that duel. 1v2 here, a clean shot out from Noya, leaves Bonita on an island.
30
Look
seconds
at the
left.
spike. The spike is way far exposed, and they used the one-way, so it's actually in Bonita's favor.
Uh-oh, this could be trouble. Noya wins the duel out. Yeah, man, that spike out of reach. So one-way was concealing a vision for version 1. That could have been bad.
They had such a good idea off the initial pick, but definitely that went sideways, and it's really good to see Sonder able to hold backside with Flowerful, the 2 players who you're looking to have performances like they did, not against V1 yesterday, but against XSET when they made it back up in the grand final. Those 2 played out of their minds.
Yeah, they
after
did.
getting pushed a little bit by that team. Still ended up winning the series 2-0, but that's the performance you're hoping for. Not what happened against V1. You saw the stats for Sonder, the difference that she had against V1. It was definitely abysmal in that first game.
3 Bulldogs for version 1.
Yeah, a little bit of a Na'Vi buy too, the Ghost for Noya only.
Yeah, but you normally only see that with, you try to keep 2 pistols, right? They're
Well,
only
it
keeping
depends.
1
I
here.
mean, I think most teams don't go as the extreme of getting the 2 pistols. I think in a lot of cases it's more effective as a way to boost your economy, but this is a lot safer.
Flora's already gotten on this side, Sonder playing on the other side of the smoke on the wall, excuse me, and she's rewarded for the kill.
Spike
Big
down
out from
A.
Sonder.
1 enemy remaining.
And Noya was flanking, so they've actually got wiped there. Bulldogs picked up. Doors closed. Round over.
It all happened so fast. Lori, as you mentioned, has been able to pick up 1 Bulldog. There should be 2 still out there.
Yeah, the problem there for the hit was that dart came in from KP. It was an assist dart from B main.
Thrifty.
that dart actually allowed everybody. V1 was not ready for it, so it took them a second to break it. They did break it without getting a pulse, but everybody was looking up at that point, and that's when they swung through. Sonder with their shorty. First engagement. Then there was multiple people swinging heaven. That actually just dominated V1, and it was a major problem yesterday was how they were not able to spring their utility at the right time.
Right.
So often V1 in those situations would be guns out. And here they're ready. They're ready to fight, but the dart is too good. They get distracted. There's actually something to counter their hit.
There's so many info gathering tools on the Shopify Rebellion comp. We've given the knife from Lori and given the darts from KP. There's a lot to be able to play around here.
That is such a good start from them. Decoing on the second. KP has an Odin already.
Yeah.
Spam plays are definitely possible, and she is sitting up in tree, and that wall is very much paper. Drone timing is really good too. Oh, almost. Doesn't have quite the distance.
Yeah, very close.
They gotta wait for the fuel here, I think. The Astra is playing so close Benita that she's re-clearing A main right now and getting lots of info. Look how far back Shopify's playing too. KP is in a perfect spot.
That flash may still hit a couple, but Benita lurking through gets one. There's that Odin that you mentioned, man. KP with 2 easy ones.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Good receival.
Flawless.
Yeah, very well done. Flawless round out from Shopify in a response.
The way they backed up there, expecting that hit, the way that Benita's playing behind that wall after she just clears, she knows wine is empty. She just has to hold that one angle. And I thought you're cycling the wall there just so you can get past the door.
One enemy remaining.
And they were going to go for the street push, but again, Shopify read it perfectly. All the reads yesterday in favor of V1. Finally, you're going for a little bit more standard of a wall here, though, out of Sarah. And we might get aggressive here from Sonder.
Get out of my way!
A little. Meanwhile, there's aggression up from version 1 towards A.
Oh, they're going to
already cleared wine.
They don't want to hit. You can tell by the way that they're playing. Double updraft possible.
Yeah, with knives or something. Yep.
Your fault.
That is nasty. Benita completely flashed there, so she's just ducking behind the dice. Again, the antis are so good, reading how Benita's going to play, and they want to push this.
They've taken the site with Mel first.
KP's dart miss.
Oh, that's big up from Lori and KP, though.
A.
Even with the missing dart. They spam through the wall, and Fluorescence able to equalize for now. Spike's still in reach, though. Yeah, they are.
Just picking it up. KP's going to rotate back around and maybe get another spam play. Oh, we're so good on this angle.
She finally misses, and she's punished for that. Mel's playing back. Jenny alone falls. Noya in the 1v2. She's wow, there's a shot at this, but she's not able to handle the transfer, and Flowerful wins the duel out.
That is,
Oh, no,
I mean,
no, you don't
on these hits,
deserve my
consistently Noya is a non-factor because they want her lurking so often. It's not anything to do with her or her timings even. It's just the hits are getting torn apart. Even when you get the first kill here, Fluorescent just continuing what everybody knows she's gonna do. That shot nasty. But again, where's the? It's not the same level of coordination getting on the site, and it's a completely different look from Shopify in terms of how clean their initial fights on the site are and fighting back for that space.
3 rounds already on the board for Shopify.
Sonder's got an op at B-main, and she's going real fast here in front of the Viper wall.
Oh, she's creeping.
It's a little risky here on the eco.
That turret should provide first contact if she goes much further out. And Noya's the only one with a rifle. Oh, you're gonna go up too far. Easy now.
Mid presence happening as well. Armbot is deep, not getting quite covered by that orb. It looked like it might for a second. What a good angle from Flowerful too. Just working the picks here with the Sheriffs. And Noya with the only Vandal. They need to be grouping with her.
Or she's going to swing up by herself early. Man, she's gotten so close so many times.
Is she going to try to sneak the spike on B while they fake that?
That should give you so much info. I mean, and that should entirely change their plan. Do they recommit? Do they still want to go B? The ult out for Mel to make sure there's nothing on the other side.
30 seconds left.
Cancels it out. I couldn't tell if it was cleared or canceled, but either way, they want to continue this hit on B, and Mel's going to be late. Sarah's already fallen. There's chaos across the map.
Spike down, B.
Just so disjointed. 13 seconds left. The spike not in tow by anyone.
10 seconds left.
And now Mel Spectre, or Sheriff, excuse me, falls effortlessly and harmlessly to the ground.
That was, yeah, chaos. I mean, Mel tried to clear B main for them. I don't really know what the idea was to start. I think seeing that it was clear and canceling her ult made it so that they would rotate back over towards B, but I think they definitely wanted to hit. I think also Saunders spotting Noya there with as the Killjoy in B main gave them a little sense that they maybe faked them out, right? Where we're thinking, okay, it's the KJ lurking in B main again. Noya has been lurking every single round of this map so far. So maybe that tells them, oh, she's just lurking. It's not going to be a B hit. Careful, A. That sort of call coming out from KP.
Yeah, right.
But they shifted so fast that that didn't happen. Even with all the missed shots there from Sonder, ends up cleaning it up in the round because it was just way too slow. Nobody actually joined out with Fluorescent as she dashed out on the site, even though she got a lot of space. Even though Sonder was completely isolated inside of the B. That TP from Mel was from so far away that it definitely costed a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that's why the timeout is being called here for version 1.
Perhaps they're able to adjust some of what feels disjointed in the early couple of rounds for version 1, but either way, they're back into it. They have guns, they have armor, they have an ult out from Noya too. And it seems like they have full intention of going A towards the hit, which is exactly where Flowerful is set up. See the molly set up from Sarah. Not fired yet.
Looking to go back into this A hit, and one thing that they've really stopped exploring, other than on these eco rounds, is the mid control and this B wall being used properly.
What are they doing here?
Straight up for the KJ ult, and they're just going to molly off anybody who's playing up in the corners.
Yeah. And then they go. A bit more patient. Mel taking some damage from the mollies. Spike on side, and look at that plant spot.
Post plants were phenomenal for V1 yesterday. You remember the Icebox game? It was post plant after post plant after post plant, and round after round it went to V1 because they had good setups. Let's see how it is on Ascent.
A different beast, that Cosmic Divide sectioning off A main, and you've got a flank coming out from Benita. Will Noya be ready for it? Meanwhile, the rest of the 5-2s onto the site. Alexis, the first to take contact. The flash around should hit everyone in Noya with big ones. Fluorescent as well, and Benita's going to show up, and it's going to be too late.
They're dogging it back too.
Yeah, they know.
Very well handled. A number of different things went right there for them. The speed of the smoke from Fluorescent to cancel that dart means that they're expecting spams, and they just don't get them. KP has no way to use that Odin, then the flash comes in as people are using utility still, right about when they're about to swing, and that gets everybody because they're not ready to turn the flash.
Op in the hands of Sonder again.
Yeah, but this time she switches over towards A, and with how consistent V1 has been at exploring this A side, especially at the timeout now, I wonder if they expect this.
I couldn't tell how many of that knife hit. I know it hit at least one. Try to give him a little high-low. Well done from Mel to equalize, though.
Cover going out.
The entry point's gone. Does this spot both? Yes, it does. They heard the KO, and they saw Benita, too. I was thinking that should be the cue to cancel, and so far it is.
Oh, Noya picked up the op. Remember, it was Saunders just a few moments ago.
And Noya has been secondary opera for this team, especially when Fluorescent wants to go entry or has knives. So this is a place where she can get a pick. Yeah, that's free. Lori peeking way too wide there. I think peeking before the knife too.
Almost looked a little patient.
Standing ahead.
Oh yeah. Either way, that dart. Oh, it gets cleared out.
Oh,
Good
I thought she
trades
got
out.
the second.
But you still haven't really established free control, and you know that KP's got to be close by, given the dart.
30 seconds left.
They close the door, section that off, or at least attempt to. It gets broken.
Yeah, Alexis needed that smoke to get away from KP's spam there. How do they clear Noya? That's the biggest thing. They don't have a smoke. She's got an angle here on heaven for main. It's impossible.
3 on the round. Very well done.
So, handling Sonder, just trading out Fluorescent there. Rifle for op is ultimately what ends up winning them the round, especially because Benita's playing on that site. They just didn't have the same retake tools. Benita almost needed that second one. But even still, if she goes down at any point, they won't have a smoke to get off of that, so need a flank or something to pressure. At least a flash. This Flowerful and KP the last two, so difficult task, difficult ask. And V1 starting to get a few rounds here, all out of the timeout, the 2 in a row. See if they start shifting things up, because I'm not sure how sustainable this A main presence is from them. It looks like they want to continue just turreting up. Noya's actually rotating all the way towards top mid. This is actually kind of cool, so that all 5 players can stay on this side of the map, while the turret can still hold that B push.
Meanwhile, for Noya, it was just on the other side of the timeout that we called she had a lockdown. 2 points away from having that lockdown. And it was, mind you, it was off of the 3 kills in the previous round, but she's had a very successful few rounds.
Oh, for sure. I mean, before the timeout, I was saying how much of a non-factor she was because of how late she had to be there, because of how the hits were just getting demolished.
Yep.
All of a sudden, she's joining these hits, and you see the big difference. I think that's exactly what Effie's talked about in the timeouts.
Saunders in a good spot to receive. She's going to spot one, but Noya once again with the trade. Dude, Noya has made a drastic change in the last couple of rounds.
Spike down A.
It's not Benita, it's Lori. A great hold from Shopify.
Oh, she closed the door herself.
Couldn't get out, tried to make a play, but it was way too many things for Alexis to deal with. Lori with 3 and Shopify with 5.
Good adjustment there. After the couple rounds there, the V1 won in a row. They expect, okay, I think they're going to still hit this A side. So let's still continue to stack with 3. Sonder, Lori, Benita. But let's put Sonder up on the box. Let's make them, force them to clear this. And that actual spot is very difficult because they only have Sky. So that Trailblazer is going to come through A main, get destroyed by a teammate, by Benita on the side or Lori on the side. You have no elevation to clear that. No drone to take care of it.
There's that Trailblazer. Saunders going to get spotted and stays
Oh,
at the dash. Could have gotten out, stayed long enough to take the fight.
Lockdown for lockdown. Shock Dart's coming in, and I think maybe a Molly too might break the attacking lockdown.
Benita's
Doesn't
on
look
the flank.
quite like it.
You see her, she's posted up. And yeah, you kind of wonder here, do they re-hit B? Do they start to explore out? Alexis is real loud about what she's doing here.
I think she might end up flashing now. She's checking. Oh my goodness. They might speed up now because of that. Alexis was just going to go throw a flash so that they could walk out dry on B after the smoke fades. This is going to be so dangerous for KP. The dart with the Odin.
That's very well handled, though.
Down B.
Floor, at least for now, still okay. Mel's falling. Flowerful's keeping backside alive and backside okay. She's finding so many targets. Lori's on the swing, and Fluorescent's lit up like a freaking Christmas tree.
1 enemy remaining.
How is she still around? How is she still alive?
Enemy remaining.
How has she gotten it down to 1? 58 HP. Goes position. Giving away. The swing is there, and Lori's just better. 3 on the round.
Shopify today definitely look a lot more composed. This is a very good start for a team that consistently has faltered when it came to the grand finals. Even though some of the biggest challenges they had against Cloud9 White, the biggest challenges they put up against them were in the grand finals. after yesterday, you expected it to be a little different starting out here. 6-3. You still need more if you're Shopify here. Players on V1 have always been so good on this Ascent map. So even if they put together a good half, you're still looking at a lopsided defensive side. That'll be hard to get through, so can't lose an eco like this.
And there are a couple of dangerous tools too. You've got Fluorescence Blades, you have Noya with a Vandal, Sarah with the Stinger.
I think the biggest one is the pit. They get on site, and Sarah's allowed to put that down. That is dangerous.
No pit.
She tried.
As Flora tried looking for KP. KP gets away. Alexis is in such a good spot. She's able to drop one and delay the flood out from the defensive side, at least for a moment.
K-Will blocks the smokes from Mel to be able to get put down.
And
they're walled off
Noya's
backside.
Vandal. Noya's Vandal is so good! It was the only weapon they had! Benita's crossed, and they know she's crossed. Dude, Noya was a hero there.
And she's been stepping up. Ever since that timeout, she's been stepping up, and I love the way that they're playing to put her in positions to frag out. And look, there's players on V1 who are struggling. Alexis 1 and 8. You saw her get the first kill in Pizza there. Sarah 1 and 9. Usually players that are definitely, you know, contributing on the frag department in a significant manner. And Noya is the one who just takes it all. She is frying.
I mean, it's perfectly common to see a 16 and 7 Killjoy on attack, right? Happens all the time.
And they're back to this old wall that they were using. They seem to stray away from it after that timeout, now going back to it. One thing, I don't think they were using it completely optimally. They want to walk up into that little cubby by the orb, drop the wall and fight wine, and then go up and scale past it. Seeker's out, spots 3 players on the side, so
they're out.
They want nothing to do with it. Last time they struggled because of Benita on the flank. This time, though, they have a tendency to just recommit over and over and over. Dodge the drone, they're going to go for a cat split. Mel has a flash still. They could easily flash the tree. But look at the weaponry on Shopify. It's nothing.
No, it's not great. Oh, that Prowler's gonna, or excuse me, that dog's eating away so much info. The paranoia is great. You see it, Alexis and Flora gone hunting.
Spike down A. 1 enemy remaining. 30 seconds left.
You highlighted the weapon difference there, and yeah, it was just too much for them to overcome.
2 dinks from Flowerful. But yeah. We already saw Shopify. I wouldn't say it was a round done, but we already saw Shopify win one of those specific rounds, especially when they went up and hit straight out of A main. But that one, V1 played that pretty well. I think the interesting part is they decided they wanted to fake the rotate after they saw 3 on the site. But Shopify's not even moving. V1 doesn't know that really, but they're not even moving. Sonder with the op again, back towards B main, and there's definitely been favor towards this A side for V1 this game. Sometimes you see Sarah not actually using her orb down in mid. This time she definitely puts it down to act like they're defaulting.
You should run.
But look at the space taken from Saunders. She's much, much, much more aggressive. They're running that same KJ ults exec that should molly these players out of heaven. They're staying in the middle though.
You've got both entries that are through, but Melkin's just outside of the smoke, and Benita drops them both. Hit still on though, so Spike has now made its way back, Jenny. Sarah looking for a target up in heaven, and she's sent away. This is a miserable spot to be in here for version 1. You've got Noya who's playing site, but I mean, the Spike is on the side, and it's Sarah by itself. Now Noya has to deal with this 1v2, and Saunders Blades cleaned it up. Shopify in this half alone has equaled the amount of rounds that they won in the entire last series against version 1.
Yeah, it's a big point. You could already tell something was different based off of the second round that we saw. Honestly, maybe even off the pistol.
Your fault.
Something definitely clicking here for Shopify today on Ascent, but job's not done. I mean, yesterday was a stomp. But this one's not even close to a stomp. If you're thinking now that these teams might be a little bit more even than we saw, they still have a major job to do in the second half because now they're on the attack. And attack side Ascent, very difficult, especially now against this Viper too. Those are the types of things that you think about right now. If you're Shopify, how do we start dealing with this Viper? How are they even going to set up? It looks like V1 want to use this retake wall on the B side where you can flood out a spawn.
Sure, see if she spots anyone. That flash isn't going to tag her up, but it is going to tag Sandra up instead. Yeah.
Not a single person's able to follow up on Sandra either, so she's left to die out dry. How does that one tab? That's through the wall.
And the crazy thing is, yeah, she hit KP on the first shot too.
Yeah, and they're just swinging around the map right now. Mel's taking space and aim in.
Yep. I mean, you see him starting to scatter through and try to find some space in, and it looks like they are going to get the spike down. But you're right, they don't have aim in. Well, they do have tree now. Are they just going to push up? That dart is going to cause problems. Man, that's a dude. KB's Sova tech is so good. Flash waiting for the funnel out. The flood from heaven. There it is. Not able to be handled. The two members that remain, both playing just on the other side.
They got
the smoke.
You saw Mel feel the movement there through the smoke. She starts backing away from the corner they're about to dive into, fading away. She could hear them obviously too, but also that grab wall, I think the cooldown was not up yet for Bonita. That's why it took so long, and that's why they got half in that instance. If maybe they don't get half there, they don't have to rush it as hard. They obviously have to make an attempt to push them off the spike, but beautifully done from V1. Big credit to Fluorescent. She comes online. I mean, not that she's offline, but if she really starts to frag at the level that she has throughout this entire tournament, topping the charts more than I've ever seen a player do, then they could definitely get rolling on this defensive side.
Yeah, dude, I love Saunders taking it to floor. She's not backing down. She's taking these duels head on, and she's dealing some serious damage back.
They're actually pushing back in the tree.
Spike down A.
Floor had eyes on them the entire time, but they're going to take another fight.
But once again, mind you, this is a tricky round for Shopify, right? So you try to throw something different and see what sticks, but you still didn't have a main control, and that was just so many problems from that spot.
Flash cleared heaven too. Benita's just stuck in gen.
All with her 6 HP. It's just kind of waiting to die at this point, and there it goes. Another kill goes in favor of Floor, another round goes in favor of version 1, and we're tied at 7.
Just like that. That quick. That quick, the fortunes turn. Fortune in this case being the defensive side.
One enemy remaining.
And Shopify will have to try to put together an anti-bonus. V1 with so much though. Look, they even got the up for Fluorescent so quickly in this third round.
Yeah.
She's what, 3 pips off of knives. So definitely an investment that could end up, even if they go down in this, still end up being a bonus for them.
Deep flash up from version 1, and they're taking the space B main. They're setting up Floor to have that op angle.
I mean, might be good. Marvel just got away. No, she didn't.
I like this off Shopify though, understanding that there's pressure towards B main. You've already lost the person who was controlling the flank. Take the space that should be vacated, and that's what they do on A.
Remember, there's two flashes of Alexis and Mel. There's no KO on this, so they've got to be able to swing well with the one Sky Flash. And look, they've got a setup here for Sonder to jump up.
Yeah, they just handed the op over to Noya, though. It's Floor who has the Spectre. They're trying to flash that too, but the spam's just so easy. Sarah trading it back, though, because they have to deal with the shock darts and everything else headed their way. Verizon has gotten down in sight. She's gotten 2, 3 on the round, leaving KP alone. What a response from B1.
It's just over and over. These retakes are so well planned. Floor getting out top Jen, dropping down, and then with the Spectre spray control, dinks the person in A main, who eventually takes her down, but takes 2 down with her from Dark. Picks up that Spectre up in heaven off of one of her teammates. That is ridiculous. And now she has her knives. I talked about how close she was.
Yeah.
And she still has the op.
One enemy remaining.
She's so good, man.
It's ridiculous. It's a Spectre from long range. Forces back Shopify on the eco. Yeah, they got the spike down. And now they're swapping up Fluorescent's position over and over, too. Last time it was B main. She got a kill there. This time in tiles, it's Flowerful again. She's targeting.
Knife tag on first. The thing is, you don't know if it's wine, you don't know if it's standing where Sarah's standing, you don't know exactly where they are. There was an opportunity there for Sarah to get a free one, but Shopify get through. They get the ore for KP, and it looks like they may try to rotate back B, grab that, and then have Hunter's Fury for a hit, maybe?
I'm surprised that Mel didn't actually flash there to fight the A main players.
Yeah.
At this point, I wouldn't even give the orb to KP. I'd give it to Flowerful. KP going down this round will give her ult anyways in the next decision whether they want to use it for a hit or not. She almost used her drone there, but decided not to clear the one way, and for good reason. She used it so well otherwise.
No intentions of that other orb, just intentions of the site. You see how far Sonder is. She's already up. The wall is the only thing keeping the two members apart from each other. Alexis waiting for the aggression coming in from Benita, and she
30
hits it at
seconds
just the
left.
right time. But the blade from Floor from up top.
Oh, she's stuck.
Looking to get another. She manages to somehow get down. But it's numbers for Shopify.
Mel is so far away here too. It's a flash, so.
Sonder not taking any damage on that.
One enemy remaining.
Flower for falling a 1v2. Op in hand. 1 bullet left. Looking for a gun, looking for anything she can find. Trying to get to
One enemy remaining.
Spots it. Switches weapons. Dash up. Swinging around and hitting the shot on KP.
That is just one of the most well-played
No
clutches
charges left.
I have seen. Fluorescent. 1v2. I like the play from Shopify. They want to swing together through the smoke, especially knowing there might be a timing where she's picking up a weapon, but I mean, she is very fortunate that she didn't pick up the weapon just then. Sonder's looking way far out to the left. KP is looking the same direction, so that's not tradable. And Fluorescent, the best part about that was the dash back to Dice there to break up the angle, spot how KP was going to play, and get to safety too.
There's not much more you can say about a player like Floor. Op in hand this round. They invested the Viper's pit towards B.
Enemy kill.
Ooh. Again, first kill. This time onto Sonder, not Flowerful. Again, the reposition from Floor. It's so good. She's getting better and better and better. Last year, it was already seeing plays like what we just saw. This year, you're seeing the discipline. You're seeing the right ideas from her as well, rotating around as much as possible. And she's only 16. The big story in last year's final game changes, and then, oh, they dropped the pit. Oh my goodness.
Benita falls, Noya does too.
I think they're worried about the B split there. That's why they dropped it. And it costed them a lot here. They've given up so much space.
Oh, Alexis's kill there is enormous. Man, she dies. Lori has full control, but instead, not only is she still up, but Mel also TP's backside to help B. KP may go exploring a little bit here.
30 seconds left.
But KP has Spike.
Die.
Alexis wasn't ready. She had no idea.
Floor somehow has re-explored Their spawn.
player
Oh
standing.
no. It's
Spike
falling
down
apart.
mid.
It's all over the place, but Sarah, the anchor, makes it work anyways. 2 players caught, not looking the right way. I think Mel definitely thought they were walking through spawn after that kill on Alexis, based off of fluorescence comp. But I think Alexis also got flash information about the players close switch before she went down.
Timeout called by Shopify Rebellion. Remember, it was a 7-5 half for them. And all of a sudden, we're looking at a 10-7 lead for version 1. Things have really gone off the rails, and you alluded to it at the beginning. You hinted at it. The nature of this map, the fact that you're going to the attacking side if you're Shopify on Ascent, facing a Viper comp, facing the discipline of version 1, and the playmaking of Floor, and everything that comes along with that, that's tough, man.
It definitely is, but it's had to be some really tough situations pulled out by V1 so far. So Shopify in this timeout, I don't think they should be too upset with how the situation is going so far. They definitely have ideas about how this could work. Multiple times they're getting on this B site. It's just they got to get that second layer to actually fully clear the site, not lose any players, and they definitely got to clean up the first entries against Floor, which comes in the flavor of a lot better mid control. Because then you can start to narrow down where she's playing very easily without danger. But we're back down to Eco here for Shopify. And Floor is walking right into
Get
them.
out of my way.
Even little things like that, man. Floor not the first to take contact. It's Alexis who swings out, and then Floor peeks after that. Little nuanced things that they're trying to do on the side of version 1 to set up their duelist.
Yeah, but they're walking into a B split here, and they have to fight B main while dealing with the market aggression. 2 soldiers behind them, and
That was Blades. It's already down.
Slate tie.
They want to continue to fight towards this site.
Remaining.
And Alexis... Man, that feels bad. That feels so bad.
Look, that is quite possibly worst case scenario situation for V1 to go up against,
Yeah.
and they just handle it on both fronts. Like, tactics there, you got them out of market, you're looking at players' backs. You got them in B main, you're probably looking at players' backs as the market timing comes through. And they still handle it.
One enemy remaining.
There you are.
Floor there too, I love what she did. She's taking the first contact on main, and then she smokes the flank and just sits there with the shorty. Talk about finding ways to use that weapon. Completely denies the flank actually from getting anything. They have to run through the smoke or spam through the smoke to find value.
That gun has gotten ridiculous this year. I just feel like it hits a little harder than it used to.
Yeah, it's so good to see the rest of the world take note. Asia was on top of it for so long.
All right, 3 ults for Shopify. Big ones, too.
You want
And remember,
to
they
find
just
it.
called the timeout, so they should have a plan here. Astra Wall, lockdown going to be used for post. Oh,
Different dash. And enough to cause problems for Noya.
Sandra just dry entering there, and they're going for a flood. Mel's by herself. Sarah's trying to get out too, but Fluorescent has knives again. She's going up.
Enemy remaining.
About to say, surely not like this. That was clean out from Shopify, though. What they do? They invested the Cosmic Divide.
Yeah.
I believe... Yeah, no, they were able to keep both of their ults. They only drop one player, and Lori has 1 point away from ult. This is a great setup for Shopify.
It's definitely the right thing you need to do is try to get through these rounds using the least amount possible.
Right.
Economy-wise, ult-wise, anything.
Yeah, it's a dangerous line to toe, too, right?
It's so difficult when there's only 2 rounds here that V1 need to close out this game on defense.
Shutting them down.
And I love what they've done. I talked about how I want to see them start to explore mid with a nice protocol that will deny space from floor. And they're doing exactly that. Forcing forward the extremities, oh my goodness!
No, she's aware. And that brings out the Hunter's Fury, trying to find the kill on the floor. Even with the tag, she's able to get away and get a kill on Bonita. AB with the massive kill onto Sarah to equalize. Seeker's now invested though for version 1 as Alexis is on the hunt with util in hand, pushing forward. Only Flowerful and KP remain in the round,
Last player standing.
and that quickly changes. Just Flowerful now. 3K on the round for Mel, 12 for version 1.
Clean movement there from Mel. But also super clean. I know Floor died there after the push came in. She obviously got the pick on A main. And I know she died, but I need to give her credit because the last 2 rounds, her smoke, just blocking any of the flanks coming in. You could see how passive the player in A main was there because she didn't want to jump in the smoke. She knows there's a shorty waiting on the other side. And Floor knows that, so she's peeking on the other side of the smoke and able to contribute fully to that hit, to the defense of that hit. Now it's match point. Spectre and a lot, I mean, Drone's already coming out, but Benito only has 2 stars.
You should run.
Ult used. Firefulls as well. All ultimates invested into this round for Shopify. Potentially the last one of the map.
Got the sight, but remember how good the retakes have gone for V1. They've got this wall as well
Planted.
that they can scale off of.
And it's Mel with the op. For now, letting Floor go. Using the Trailblazer to provide some space. She's already procced the dash. So careful to clear everything out. That gravity wall could have been problematic, but she stays around it. Todd versus good, but the shot from Lex is good as well. And now they have stairs, they have lane, and you've got them back sight. Alexis in this 1v2. Holy smokes, how did they not see her? How did they not see her? KP gets the kill, Shopify gets to 9.
And you can see the beginnings of that retake go pretty well. But Shopify hold fast. The grab well denies them actually to flood on that. And the wall goes down. That gives room for Flowerful to work in B main. And there's still a chance here, but what I was talking about with these ults, they're all gone now. And every single round that they've gotten on this attack side has been based off of an ult to hit. It was first the Cosmic Divide. This round it was the Mill Command and the KJ ult.
Deploying drone.
Big investment from them in the previous round. A light buy from version 1 in this one, and one of those small investments already gone. Mel's fallen. You see Floor tucked. We've got this trap set up. There's no real flash or anything like that. They just have to do dry, and dry may work just fine.
Down mid.
Alexis was on the prowl as well.
They've got
Shows
guns.
up at just the right time. Yeah,
They've got
now they have a
pit.
couple of guns. Yep, and lockdown for Noya.
Oh, but
Last player standing.
really worried about this flank coming in, and for good reason. Flowerful gets them all.
There could have been something there, but it falls apart. Shopify get to 10. The concern is, well, I mean, how many guns did they lose? They lost 3 of them? Their economy's not great.
One can buy. I think Benita could buy there. Lori can drop one. It should be fine. I'm worried. Okay, yeah, I was worried that Fluorescent wasn't going to be able to get the op, but look, Alexis is actually able to drop her the op. It's been such a key part and factor in their defense. The only round she didn't really have it once we've gotten guns has been that one when they went for the fast retake just last, the round prior, where she dropped it to Mel.
Hit and Paranoia instantly used. The gravity well intended to counter. Is there an ult? Is there anything to follow that up?
That's a good idea from Shopify to try to counter the A main aggression, but
Yeah.
on the other side, it's also great from Mel and Sarah to get that pit down. They have the protocols just to flash out. That does weaken their retakes. That does weaken any more sort of trap plays, but they've completely isolated this A main area. And the adjustment from them too is, now that they've gotten that down, they're playing the setup with Floor and Mel on Cat. And that's going to leave these 2 B players out to dry. So here's the defensive lockdown. Saunders going for it.
Going right into a flash as well. Noya creeping around. All of them are funneling into the lane. They're all going to funnel into the other side of the wall. And Noya's there! Noya gets 2!
Spike
3!
down B.
Before playing backside is Mel trying to dance around. It's actually Fluorescent who gets it. And now Benita is going to show up late to the party with the spike out of hand, the map out of hand as well, surely. What on earth do you do here? Well, you get something, but that's all it is. And the truth is, Bala, Shopify did an excellent job in the first half, right? Kept it to 7-5. They had the lead going into the rougher half of the map, sure, but it just kind of fell apart at the end, and it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. Was 7-5 enough at half? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not. You just know the tendencies of these maps, and then also the unfamiliarity that you might have against a Viper comp too. You
Right.
saw how Cat was locked down that entire time. They really didn't explore it at all. So yeah, that one hurts. They put up a good fight, I think, towards the end, trying to get some rounds together. And I think that's a very important thing to take away from this map is the mental's definitely not gone. They're still not fighting through the demons that they have against what might be the core of Cloud9 White, but they've got a long way to go if they want to bring this back again. Version 1 now, after going through Ascent, they have Pearl next. We've seen kind of a little taste of both sides. Pearl, Flowerful was great against Xset yesterday, so let's see if they can keep it up.
It's a marathon, it's not a sprint, but there is one map down. We'll see how much longer this series goes on the other side of this break.
Red Bull gives you wings.